Purnamaste. Purnamaste, I give you my word. Thank you for feeling, and thank you for allowing in the feeling, in the silence of the mind, answer to be revealed in your being. Please don't defend your ego. Don't defend your mind. Just, if it's not for you, just slide by and find something that is for you. When I make this video, people sometimes say, but I am my ego is part of me. No, this truth is not for you. Go find truth for you. Sometimes people say, you know what people sometimes say? My ego is my body. I can never get rid of my ego. I have to use it for my divine purpose. So what they are telling? What they are saying? Huh. What they are saying is that they have tried to get rid of the ego. They have tried to control their mind, to stop their ego. Now, to resist, and they realized that they cannot, and ego got only stronger. Fear got stronger, afraid of who they are, and now they were blaming themselves for not able to get rid of the ego that blames them for who they are. And this is now double bind, because people who say you can never get rid of the ego, first of all, you can never get rid of the ego. Never, ever, ever. You can only realize that it is not you. It is a program running, negative program, separation from self, always blaming you. You are guilty. You are guilty. They are guilty. They are guilty. He is guilty. Blaming you for who you are, for how you feel in your body, judging you, analyzing, blaming, judging, analyzing that you are not good enough as you feel and you should do better. It tells you are guilty, and is judging and analyzing others. Always everything. So you see, what kind of nonsense is that ego is part of yourself? When ego is actually separation from self that blames you for who you are, for how you feel, and afraid of you for how you feel, and judges you, analyzes you, always against how you feel. And ego is going against how you feel, blaming you that you are not good enough, judging you, afraid of you, so you are not being yourself, and is opposing, violating, resisting, controlling you, controlling others, opposing, violating, resisting, controlling others, blaming, forcing, resisting. It makes you go against how you feel. That's against yourself. That's against your divine purpose. It makes you violate yourself, go against how you feel, judge yourself, blame yourself, afraid of yourself, and then judge, blame, oppose, violate others, and make you correct, control, resist everyone and everything. It's going against divine purpose. Can't you see? It's actually a program. It is not you. It blames you for who you are. Blames you. Separation from self. Blames you from how you feel. And violates, opposes, attacks, blames others and you. This is going against your purpose. So you see what a nonsense it is. It's a complete insanity to say my ego is part of myself. I can never get rid of my ego, and I will use it for divine purpose. Where it's actually designed to blame you for your divine purpose. Blame you for how you feel in your body. This feels not right to me, what this person is doing now. But your ego makes you, no. You are not good enough. This is not the truth. Don't you know that I never did this? Don't you know that what I did for you? You know, makes you, blames you for how you feel in your body and make you go in what you think in programmed mind. So it actually blames you for who you are in your body. Let me make a tea. Okay, I'll make a tea, I'll come back. So it blames you for who you are. It blames you for how you feel in your body. What if I tell you that these people who say you can never get rid of your ego, they are actually right? This is the actual truth of the matter. You can never get rid of your ego. And that's the fallacy. That's the thing that suffering comes from. Because they want to control, they want to stop their ego, they want to destroy their ego. They blame themselves for having an ego, and on the end they blame themselves that they cannot stop their ego, and then they just give up. They could not get rid of the ego with their ego, and that's why to get rid of your ego is the biggest ego trip there is ever. Really? What they're doing, they're trying to get rid of the ego with the ego. They attack and destroy the ego. They blame themselves for having an ego, and they want to stop the ego and control the ego and force and resist the ego. But you know what? If you are not your ego, you can never get rid of your ego because it is not you. It is a program blaming you for who you are, blaming others, judging you, judging everything, making you identify with your mind, opposes, violates, correct, and do all kind of this shit, you know. So what can you do? Well, nothing. Really, nothing. Not a thing. And this is what you should do. Nothing. Nothing. It is program. Separation from self, blaming you for how you feel now. Negative, judging, correcting, opposing, violating, going against your divine purpose, against how you feel now. Hey, you just have to realize one thing. You just have to realize one thing. That control, that trying to stop your ego, that trying to force your ego to stop. Just this is the problem. Nothing else. Because this is the ego. Like I said, you're trying to stop your ego with your ego. And your ego becomes only stronger because what you oppose, what you try to stop, what you give your attention on and energy, your ego to, becomes only stronger. You know, now it's everywhere in your reality. And it's so strong that you realize I can never stop my ego. So now Okay, I am my ego is my body, I will use it for divine purpose, but how you can use it for divine purpose when blames you for how you feel in your body, actually blames you for how you feel in your body, and always making you blame you for your divine purpose, for what feels right to you, and opposing, violating others, controlling, resisting the moment now, making you go against you how you feel. So it's always going against your divine purpose. Always this shit is going against your divine purpose. Can't you see this? So then you may have asked, poor, but what then would you do? You say that I'm not my ego and I can never get rid of my ego. And what should I do, poor now? What should I do, huh? Well, Buddha has sent his disciples for many years and told them, stop your ego, control your ego, get rid of their ego. And they were many years doing this, trying to stop their ego, trying to control the ego, trying to force the ego. And they end up blaming themselves for having an ego, blaming themselves that they cannot stop their ego. They made completely their ego mad and they were complete in ego. And when they came back after 2 years, Master, we cannot get rid of our ego. What can we do? Oh, what can we do? And Buddha, he just smiled. He said, I cannot get rid of my ego either. No one can. It's impossible to control your ego, to stop your ego, to get rid of your ego. I have an ego. And they were like, what? You cheated us. You deceived us. You made us go there in forest for so many years. Well, he said, no, I didn't. You needed to control and force and resist and try to stop your ego with your ego. You just needed to do that. For otherwise, you will never believe. You will never accept that you cannot get rid of your ego. Never would you. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. You see. Another background. He told to them, you see, my ego crazy. Oh, what's... Are you cheater? Why you cheated us? What is this? Look, but I'm not identifying with my ego. I leave it alone. I don't try to stop it. I don't try to control it. I don't try to force it to stop. I'm just not doing this, you know. I'm just not. Because it is not me. It is blaming me for who I am, trying to control me, trying to stop me, trying to go against myself. But it is not who I am. I don't identify with it. I don't try to stop it. I let it be. It is not me. And I'm free of the ego, what Buddha said. In not trying to stop, it stops. In leaving it alone, it leaves you alone. He said to them, look, all you need to do, baby, you just need to realize that it is not you. That is controlling you, how you feel, stopping you from how you feel, judging you, analyzing you, how you feel according to what it thinks it's right and good in the mind, programmed. It is blaming you for how you feel, afraid of you, how you feel, controlling, resisting, how you feel. But you would never realize that you cannot stop it if you would not almost die trying to stop your ego, to get rid of your ego. And you just have to let it be. You are always enlightened, Buddha, just like me. As you feel now, from the heart, in the moment now. You see, always, always from the beginning. And your ego is actually the program. Separation from self, it is not you. And it's blaming you for how you feel, judging you for how you feel, analyzing what is better, blaming you that you are not good enough, that you should be better. That's what ego is. So you see, you just have to realize that it is not you and leave it alone. You try to control it. That's ego. Ego controls. You try to stop it. That's ego. Ego tries to force to stop. You try to resist it. Ego does that. You try to control it. Ego does that. Now you blame yourself that you have an ego. Ego does that. You're attacking the ego. Ego does that. Now you blame yourself that you have an ego. Ego is blaming you for having an ego. Oh my God. Your ego is blaming you for having an ego. Whew. What a thing, huh? Your ego is blaming you for having an ego. You blame yourself that you cannot get rid of the ego. Identifying with your ego. Blaming you that you cannot get rid of the ego, but it's not you. And that ego is blaming you that you cannot get rid of the ego and that you have ego and you identify yourself with an ego and you think that you are that ego. You see, this is the problem. And you just have to realize your ego, it is not you. It is blaming you for how you feel, afraid of you for how you feel, judging you, analyzing you, how you feel, controlling, stopping, resisting you, always making you go against how you feel. You see, you just have to realize that your ego, it is not you. Your ego is not you. Your ego is not you. And you just leave it alone. Let it be. It is not you. And you just are as you feel now, in the moment now. Without your ego judging you, blaming you, analyzing you, afraid of you, how you feel. You were always enlightened and you were never your ego that is blaming you for who you are. And controlling, stopping, trying to get rid of your ego is just your ego. And you just need to stop that and leave it alone. And then you can be yourself as you feel, free of the ego. Ego is programmed separation from yourself. You are always enlightened. You were never your ego. You can never get rid of it because it's not you. By leaving it alone, you realize it is not you. It's just a program. It's not real. It's not part of you. It's just a program judging you for how you feel, blaming you for how you feel, afraid of you, analyzing you. Buddha said you are always Buddha. You just have to realize that you are not, and you were never your ego. So simple. It's too complicated for the complicated mind, complicated ego. You have to run your ego out, try to control your mind, stop your mind, control your ego, stop your mind, get rid of the ego. Just to realize that it cannot be done. And you still leave it alone. And then it leaves you alone. And you see, when you realize that you are not your ego, and you feel as you are, and you are as you feel, every moment, with no guilt and no fear, no ego blaming you for how you are, afraid of you, how you feel. Controlling, stopping, correcting, changing, forcing, resisting, not yourself, not the moment now. Nobody. Nobody ever. Nobody. Nothing. Never going against yourself, regardless the attachment, with no guilt and fear, regardless what people want from you, what they represent to you, regardless what benefit you can get by going against yourself, by doing what doesn't feel right to you. You just don't. You just don't. You just don't do that, You just don't. Regardless the attachments, regardless the benefit, no guilt and fear. You say no to everything when it doesn't feel right to you. You don't put up with it. You don't do it. And then you realize what? Then you are not controlling, correcting, opposing, violating, analyzing anyone. Forcing, resisting. You are not your ego. You are not following. You realize that it is not you. And all the bad qualities, everything, all the bad qualities that you hate about yourself, that your ego is blaming you for it, all bad karma, everything disappears. For you create bad karma when you go against yourself, out of attachments, out of guilt and fear, out of benefit. When you force, control, resist others. You blame yourself for how you feel, afraid of yourself for how you feel, judging, analyzing yourself for how you feel, judging, analyzing everything according to the mind, yourself, opposing, violating, going against yourself out of guilt, out of fear, all the bad karma, all the suffering and everything, and out of greed, going against yourself. Everything comes out of following the ego, identifying yourself with the ego. So you can never get rid of the bad qualities. You have to realize that it is not you. And as you realize that you are not your ego, and you are as you feel now, with no guilt and fear, no attachments, no people pleasing, truthful and sincere, no guilt and fear, no ego blaming you, afraid of you for how you feel, no mind, no opposition. You're free of the ego. It is not you. And actually, what happens is something very beautiful and very profound. All bad karma disappears. And all the qualities about yourself that you don't like about yourself, that ego blaming you for who you are, disappear. For everything was just, like I said just before, just a result of you going against yourself, against how you feel, and against the moment, and against how others feel, controlling, resisting, forcing, out of analyzing, judging, thinking, out of blaming you for who you are, so you go against yourself, out of afraid of yourself for who you are, so you go against yourself out of fear, out of greed, to go against how you feel, and you always create bad karma with people. You do what doesn't feel right to you. Because your ego blaming you for what doesn't feel right for others. You suffer for them. Now you blame them. You hate them. You cannot say no to them. Your ego blaming you for how you feel. Now you create very bad karma for yourself. You suffer for somebody else, and you suffer in resentment and hate you and blame. You see, this is example. And out of fear, you follow fear. You give yourself away to the fear. And you follow fear. You go against how you feel out of fear. You always go into the suffering. You're following fear, and fear is separation from self. You give your power away. And you control, resist, force others. In the moment now, you always create karma because you go against yourself. I'll go against yourself, yes. How you feel because they are you. You're going against them, how they feel. Try to control, force, stop, change. And you are already Buddha, enlightened from birth as you feel. And as you stop being an ego, stop identifying with an ego, your ego just stops. Your ego just stops. It's not you. And all the bad qualities that you want to stop about yourself also stop because they are a result of you going against yourself. So why then all these teachers, even Gurdjieffsky, they were telling you, stop your ego, control your ego, force your ego, stop. Because like Buddha, unless you really exhaust your ego, unless you really, ego has to do it, ego has to be in control, ego has to know, and then ego has to realize in trying to do it that you can never do it, in controlling that you cannot control anything, in trying to stop your ego, you're completely in your ego, trying to get rid of your ego, you think that you're your ego. You have to realize that, and then you can just, I can never stop my ego. And then you can be ready for Zen. Just realize this is not you. You know? So it's needed because ego doesn't surrender, ego doesn't believe, ego has to be in control and has to force to do it, in control to do it. And only in forcing and controlling to do it, to get rid of your ego, you can realize that you can never get rid of your ego. And then your ego is conquered, and you can realize it is not you, and you can leave it alone, and you can be Buddha as you were always, enlightened as these animals, children, trees are, as you feel from the heart, and never mind. Mind is identification with an ego, free of guilt and fear, control, force, resistance, judgment, analysis, opposition, violation, free of bad karma, free of false self, free of the ego because it's not you. You are always Buddha from birth, just as I am. I give you my word. Just for that. You realize you are not your ego, you leave it alone, and you are as you feel, source that I am from the heart. Yes. You realize you are always Buddha and being yourself, the answer revealed out of the silence of the mind that is not you. Your ego is making you identify with your mind. Yeah. And this is what I do it. So you become greater master as I am, free of the mind. Like, there is fear. I'm most sensitive being. So I feel great fear many times. But what I do, not my fear. I'm not an ego. I don't follow that fear. I go against that fear. You know? It's not me. I give you my word so you realize you're not your ego. Thank you. And if anybody feels like you want to offer a donation, like you want to offer support, you know that you are so welcome. And for every single donation that I receive, you receive a special gift. You receive the answer within you. You want to support a class of a master, Zen master. I'm free of my guilt, I'm free of my fear, free of my ego. But I have my things to work on. You know. Especially in this time. But you get the answer within. And I'm so grateful. If there's any blessing in my heart, let it all go to you. I give you my word. Really. Let it all go to you. Any blessing in my heart, let it all go to you. Like I said, I have a special gift. For every single donation. It's not something you buy. It's not something you buy, really not. You've given me the energy that I require so much, and I'm so grateful for. And I want to give you the energy, my best energy. I don't chat. I don't even like comments. I speak to the silence of the mind so the truth can be revealed in knowing you are not your mind that thinks you are ego. You can just let the mind be. Truth can be revealed in your being. But I want to give you my best energy. So what I do, I take my best energy. I say nothing, you say nothing. I just give you a gift. I'm so clairsentient in PayPal. I see your email address. It's enough for me to connect with you, with your being completely. And I do white light quantum source healing on your beautiful divine being. Don't tell me anything about it, because I have to focus on you being free of all afflictions to do the best healing on you. And any way you utilize my healing the best, the way that you utilize it, you know, my healing works in you as much as you work on yourself. And it's quantum white light source healing beyond time and space. You don't need appointment. Beyond time and space, you don't need appointment. And so it is. I'm so clairsentient. All I need is your email address in my PayPal. I do it, and you have my word. For anyway, the healing works on you as much as you work on yourself. You see, if you're trying to control, stop your ego, force your ego to stop, no one can heal you. You're completely thinking that you are your ego, and now you give up and you say your ego is you, just blaming you for who you are. But if you just leave your ego alone and let it be, you don't follow it. You give it attention, you don't follow it, the nonsense that what you don't want to stop it, you don't want to control it, you don't want to get rid of it. You realize it's not you. And you are born in being yourself as you feel Buddha from the heart. I give you my word just for that. And every single donation, healing performed. But I give you my word, and the answer is revealed in your being, in knowing you're not your ego. In being the truth, you heal yourself, you save yourself. Purnamaste. You're all healing now. So, I give you my word. You are not ego, we are not ego, I'm not ego. Ego is blaming us for who we are. Purnamaste, Purnamaste, Purnamaste.